Welcome once again to The Icons. I'm the sports professor, Rick Horrow. Each month, we sit down with influential figures across the world of sports. This month, we talk to two icons who have ties to college sports, pro sports, and the fastest growing sport in the world, pickleball. Our icons are Rich and Ross Chaifetz. Let's get started by going inside the icons. Rich Chaifetz was born in Brooklyn in 1953 and raised in Long Island. He attended Eastern Military Academy and received an appointment to the U.S. Military Academy, but opted to attend St. Louis University instead. He graduated magna cum laude from SLU in 1975 with a degree in psychology. Chaifetz founded ComPsych Corporation, now the world's largest provider of employee assistance programs. His name has been linked to attempts to buy pro sports franchises, including the Rams in 2010, the Bucks, and the Miami Marlins. Early this year, the Chaifetz family announced they'd acquired a team franchise in Major League Pickleball. The St. Louis Shock, owned by Rich, with operations and management overseen by his son, Ross Chaifetz. When we've talked before, we talked about your world. It's hard for me to pronounce, but you are a licensed neuropsychologist, and you are magna cum laude at SLU.
Right.
What is a neuropsychologist?
A neuropsychologist is trained in psychology and neurology, and basically we understand the brain, its functions, and we diagnose, evaluate, and treat people with brain disorders, but we also do the general psychological and psychiatric services as well. Obviously, I don't practice anymore. I haven't practiced for a long, long time, but that's how I was trained.
Well, but also if you're magna cum laude at a place like SLU, you know what you're doing. Before you get to ComPsych, tell the story about Father Paul Reinhardt.
Sure. Well, I went to a military high school, Eastern Military Academy in Huntington, New York, where I grew up. And I had a mentor there, told me where to go to college. My parents were divorced. I didn't have any money. And I did connect with my dad just before I left to go to SLU, because that's where he suggested we go. And, that was a time when people didn't really visit colleges and pick the place that had the best swimming pools and recreation and country club kind of environment in addition to academics. SLU was a great academic school. I never visited. I ended up going there, and it was a great choice. But make a long story short, I go there and I find out second semester of my freshman year that my dad, who had promised to pay, who I had minimal contact with, parents were divorced, did not pay my tuition. So they called me down to the bursar's office and basically told me that I'd have to leave the school unless I paid my tuition real quick. Make a long story shorter, they told me the only chance I had was to go see Father Reinhardt, who was the president of the school then. So I go to see this priest who was very tall and very intimidating, and I was a young freshman. And I pled my case. I said, look, Father Reinhardt, I'm an excellent student. I want to be a doctor. I know I'll be successful. I will pay the school back in a big way. And I promise you, just let me stay. I'll do whatever it takes. Once I graduate, it'll be worth your while. Well, you fast forward, and he let me stay. And if I was smart, I would have asked for a full scholarship because I academically did well, but I wasn't smart enough then. But he let me stay. I paid the tuition. And I always remembered I had an obligation to SLU, and I promised to pay back in a big way. So the first thing I did, many, many years later, unfortunately, Father Reinhardt had passed away. I met with the new head of development. And they had never thought I would do anything to the size that I did. They were trying to sell me on, putting a brick in front of a new arena, or maybe giving some money to the psych department or what have you. But I ended up writing a check for $12 million to name Chaifetz Arena because sports were very important to me. Again, not having money, I took all my dates to the sporting events. Basketball, hockey, soccer, et cetera. And SLU had great sporting events, and it cost me nothing, and I enjoyed it. And whoever I was dating better have enjoyed it, or else I probably wouldn't have dated her very long because she wouldn't have been interested in sports. So that's how I made my first donation to SLU, Chaifetz Arena. And it is a world-class arena, ranked best under 15,000 on numerous surveys over and over again. And just, I'm real proud of it.
Well, you should be. You should be. And we'll get to that in a second as far as what SLU and Chaifetz Arena have done synergistically for each other. But by the way, you've done okay yourself. In addition to all of your accolades, you are a contributor to my Sport Business Handbook. And of course, that is, my priority. But just looking at the founder, chairman, chief executive officer of ComPsych, the world's largest provider of employee assistance programs, 100 million individuals, 45,000 organizations, 160 countries, mental health, government assistance before COVID, and you were just getting started. So, that's a heck of a dream. Talk about that for a minute.
Well, I'm really proud of that. Obviously, I was trained as a neuropsychologist, practiced for a while, but I always had ambitions to build companies, and I was a businessman at heart. And, I started with $1,000, never borrowed any money. And what I'm most proud of, I built a great organization, the largest mental health provider in the world. And I'm proud of the people I hired and helped develop and build their lives around this great company, and able to give back philanthropically because of my success. And I'm proud of what we do every day. We're helping people every day. So I made my wealth, doing something that I feel really good about.
We're looking at this through the lens of an investment. And, anything that has interest to the tune of 40 million individuals is an area that we want to be in.
Remember the first time you took me to Chaifetz Arena. What was the name of the coach that you summarily went as Cruz? Was that his name?
Cruz, who came after my buddy Rick Majerus.
Majerus was a classic first hire.
Majerus was the best. Yeah.
But Ross, I don't know how you could deal with him in a close game. This guy standing up and genuflecting and scaring everybody around him. It's like I would. Disowning is not appropriate, but it's pretty damn close, right? I mean, you got to be proud of him, but he's crazy. The guy is crazy.
Yeah, and as a kid, when I was in my teens, I kind of just stood there and kind of just, did one of these.
Oh God!
Just tried to blend in.
Yeah, I don't know the guy, but his name's on the arena, but I don't know the guy. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
In many ways, you're a trustee of how academics and sports play together in a very high academic institution. So even one with that NIL, let me just throw that one out there.
Yeah.
All schools will deal with the top boosters and say, I want X amount of money for NIL. Let's figure out how it's distributed. You have an incredible perspective because you've been around professional athletics. You understand how you don't want this to be professional athletics. You have some money. You could promote. So how do you feel about the whole NIL process?
It's tricky. I mean, I understand from the players' perspective that, they feel like they're not getting their fair due, fair shake. I thought it would create problems. It does create a lot of, nuances that, will continue to be problematic until they sort all the rules out and fine tune a lot of the things that have become problematic. I mean, you couple that with the portal, and it's been a lot of changes in college sports. But, I think the players like it. It gives them opportunity that they didn't have before. And, if you look at the way the world is going, it's consistent with that. So the time was coming. I think people, were not wanting to see it for the most part. Not the athletes. I'm talking about maybe the universities, but it's here. And I think you make the best of it. In many ways, there's some very positive things for the players. And if the programs do it right, I think it could be positive for the programs as well.
All right, now the interesting stuff comes because, you're happy. No secret, you've looked at professional sports franchises around the country, and it takes a while and persistence. When I personally found out, this wasn't your only calling, because I'm sure you're gonna do other stuff, but man, to be an owner in Major League Pickleball and hear when we met a couple of weeks ago how passionate you were about the upside of this, it's tremendous. So tell me the story about who turned you on to this and how you closed the deal.
Well, we've looked at sports. We were close on getting some sports teams in the past, and we're not giving up. There's only X amount of them, and there's X amount of bidders. But this opportunity came up because we expressed some interest. There was nothing available. Ross, to his credit, was persistent. They called us. They knew we had interest. They knew we had the wherewithal, et cetera. And there were two teams that call them expansion teams or available teams, and multiple bidders, a lot of interest. And we put a story together and the right price that I think was the winning combination. With our background, we chose St. Louis because Florida has teams already. Chicago has teams. I'm well known in St. Louis. I think we can make an impact there. I love the city. I like to give back to St. Louis. It's my second home, so to speak. And we were able to win the St. Louis franchise, and we came up with the name. We called it the Shock, and we're ready to go.
You certainly are ready to go. And Ross, what argument turns you on the most about the sport? Is it that the fastest growing segment of the sport is under 24 years old? Is it at 40% growth rate during COVID? It's the fastest growing sport. It's the 36 million people who played in 2021, or is it the 8.5 million who played more than 8 times last year, or is it a combination of all that?
I think it's a combination of all of that. It's tangibles, but it's intangibles as well. I mean, you look at the numbers, 40 million people played over the last year. And, we're looking at this through the lens of an investment. And, anything that has interest to the tune of 40 million individuals is an area that we want to be in and we want to play and we want to invest in. And so it's tangibles around that, but it's also ease of access. Anybody can play. Because it's easy to set up a court, it's easy to get equipment, it's cheap, it's accessible to all ages, as young as 4 and 5 and up to folks in their 80s and 90s. So we love the accessibility of the sport, we love the emergence of it, we love the acceleration in terms of the growth of the league. We love all the people around it, from ownership to management, top to bottom. And we really think it's a sport that's going to excel when you think about, domestically over the next 5 or 10 years, and then the international expansion opportunities are going to be absolutely fantastic.
Seeing it live for the first time, it far exceeded my expectations in terms of how exciting it was to watch.
Rich, one of the things that I noticed about the evolution of all of this, you look last year and you see the LeBron, Brady, October investment, but then Mahomes and Eva Longoria and Heidi Klum and Osaka. These are players that they have a lot of money, but they also want to be involved in something great. But it's complemented by you, the DeVos family, others who are serious sports people. That's the winning combination, right?
Right. I think so. And there's clearly a lot of interest from the celebrity crowd, but there's interest from the money crowd too. We have a lot of people with a lot of money that own a number of these teams. As Ross said, there's a huge upside financially, but we're also passionate about it. I started playing a couple of years ago. I've gotten very excited about it. And some of the things that were kind of interesting to me that I didn't appreciate, Rick and Ross touched on it, was that the age group that plays this, I thought it was more guys like us, me and Rick.
Be careful.
And older, much older. And but it's like you have like kids at 10 years old and younger. In fact, one of the best women players, the best woman player in the world, just turned 16. We're at a tournament in Mesa. They had a 16th birthday for her. So it's all age groups, and it's clearly there's a passion, and every place is building pickleball courts. So there's no question that there's a demand and interest in the sport, and people could learn to play relatively quick. You can't just go out and all of a sudden become a tennis player and participate, or a golfer and just participate, or any other sport that we're all used to. This is unique in terms of how it is structured and what skills you need to at least have a good time initially.
Ross, question for you. Is it a TV sport? Are you comfortable people are going to watch it?
Here's what I'd say about that. I absolutely believe that it is. Folks that have played the game and seen the game in person believe that it is a TV sport. The folks that push back on whether or not it's a TV sport are the folks who haven't played and don't understand how fun it is. What's interesting about pickleball is it's very easy to be acceptably good, but it's very difficult to be exceptional. And when you think about the gap between the average amateur and the true professional, it's a totally different game. I mean, Rick, if you and me were on the court, we'd be lobbing back and forth. We'd be playing casually, maybe sipping on a drink. You look at the pros, they are in firefights. And the amount of hand-eye coordination that is required to play the game at the highest level is phenomenal. I mean, tennis pros will tell you that you have to have quicker hands in pickleball than you need to have in tennis. You might not need to have faster feet, but you need to have faster hands. So if you've ever watched it live, it's truly exceptional. It's back and forth. It's extremely high energy. I think it will translate well to TV. The challenge is emerging and encouraging folks to watch the sport that haven't yet played it.
Seeing it live for the first time, it would far exceeded my expectations in terms of how exciting it was to watch. And it wasn't just me as an owner. The people there watching it were incredibly excited, and the matches were very competitive, very interesting. And as Ross said, it's a different experience. And once you play and then you appreciate what the pros do, you come to see how difficult it is to get to that level. The hand-eye coordination is exceptional. And I just watched the match on TV over the weekend, and it was 2 hours and 20 minutes. And the concentration required for pickleball, because it's so fast and so intense, in many ways very different and more intense than tennis even. So it wears you down in many other ways besides just physically, and you have to have that stamina. We're all in on this. It's not going to just be that we're going to be owners of a team in the MLP. We want to expand around what we think is a great and growing sport.
And I'm a guy who's spent all my time generating public money based on public support for facilities that will be sports investments, but economic investments. And you see, for example, the Mesa tournament you were at, where you had 41 courts, but 85,000 visitors for one event and 4 million visitors to that complex, pickleball, a central facility. If you were to scale and identify what the cost per person would be relative to public investments, the families coming for the tournaments, staying for a few extra days, getting the TV exposure, it's off the charts, bigger on a pro rata basis than, baseball, basketball, football. I feel strongly about that. I don't know if you do.
Yeah, 100%. And look at the court issue, that finding courts to play on, and everybody's converting everything they have to pickleball courts. So the demand far exceeds the supply of places to play. And now you see businesses that are starting to combine pickleball with restaurants and other venues to attract and to supply the needed pickleball resources for people who want to play all over the country. And what's interesting, Rick, it isn't just warm weather climates. I thought, is it Florida and California? I mean, the pickleball following in St. Louis is unbelievable. And you can go almost any place in the U.S. and the following is really high and growing.
I was over in Sarasota last week and drove by the Pickleball Club, which is a 15-court, $180 million complex they're doing now, as you know, and Santa Monica Tennis Court's doing the same stuff. Are you guys contemplating some real estate opportunities for this stuff in the future as well?
We are. We're looking at all kinds of options. We're all in on this. It's not going to just be that we're going to be owners of a team in the MLP. We want to expand around what we think is a great and growing sport and all the economics around it, and supply the needed resources for people, because I believe the demand is there. So yeah, we're all in on that, Rick.
Pickleball is extremely relatable. I think there's lots of opportunities for us to engage with the community. We've got tons of ideas in terms of the revenue streams that are to come, and we think there's a huge opportunity here.
So final word for Rich, but Ross first. Where is the sport and the shock 5 years from now?
I think it's going to be huge. I really do. I mean, right now, the MLP has 6 events nationwide each year. They're talking about expansion. I think there's a massive opportunity. You talked about not only the league level, but you talked about facilities. We think there's opportunities for synergies between the team and the facilities. But one area you haven't hit on, Rick, is the impact on retail and brick and mortar. I spoke to a tennis shop recently in St. Louis who's the dominant tennis shop, and they told me that pickleball sales are cannibalizing their tennis sales A couple of years ago, they were 100% tennis sales. Now they're up to 40 to 45% pickleball sales. So it's being hit from all angles. It's people that are converting from golf. It's people that are transitioning from tennis. And I think when you think about what that means for the impact of the sport, I think it's going to be phenomenal. I think what the Shock brings to the table that's different from the existing sports assets in St. Louis is, again, the accessibility. Anybody can walk out to their court, pick up a paddle, and immediately start playing the game and realize, how interesting it might be. When you compare yourself to a Cardinals player, a Blues player, a Battlehawks player, a St. Louis City SC player, I mean, that's a whole different level of skill set. But pickleball is extremely relatable. I think there's lots of opportunities for us to engage with the community. We've got tons of ideas in terms of the revenue streams that are to come, and we think there's a huge opportunity here. We don't anticipate any slowdown, and we think there's massive financial upside, not only in our local market, but the league nationwide and internationally as well.
Yeah,
very, very, very well put. Rich, final word.
Yeah, to expound on that, Ross may have implied this, but I want to say it directly. Huge opportunity for TV contracts, which the league will get in the future. Gambling will get for sure in the future. And the increase and dominance of more tournaments. And then for the Shock, much more local activities that we're planning for the future, from exhibitions to possible tournaments, to engagement in the community in terms of helping people learn how to play pickleball, improve their skills, et cetera, with the pros from our team.
As usual, first-class stuff. By the way, final parting question. When you play each other in pickleball, have you done it yet? Who wins?
We have, but we always play with doubles with my wife and his girlfriend.
You know what?
What's the truth, Ross, on that?
Ross, what's the truth?
The truth is, last time we played, well, let me walk it back. We played 2 months ago. And myself and my girlfriend won. We played more recently a couple weeks ago, and my dad and my mom won. But there was a little bit of a discrepancy on scoring. We were alternating from rally scoring to non-rally scoring, and so we were kind of all over the place. But again, it's fun because it's ubiquitous, and there's tons of parity in terms of who you're playing with, and so it's always a good match.